Hi, are you thinking about starting a podcast, but you have trouble coming up with a suitable topic? Today, I want to try to help you solve that problem. Hejsan hej, I am PixelPia, and I hope this short little video will help you in 4 steps to solve the problem about picking the right podcast topic for you. If you missed my last video, which was about 10 reasons why you should start a podcast, I have it linked down in the description. And today we are going to continue this discussion and talk about how you can come up with your topic. And that is not always easy. I will talk about this in 4 steps. Step number 1 is to make a list of all your ideas. And there are a couple of questions that can help you write down ideas like this. First of all, what interests and hobbies do you have? Second, what are you comfortable talking about? What do you care most about? Or maybe you are an expert on something. You can also ask yourself, what do people come to me for? What do they ask me about? Is there a specific topic that people often ask of your advice? But also think about what you enjoy listening to. Maybe you can get some ideas from that. Or are there things that you maybe not are an expert on, but you are curious about? And what kind of topics gets a reaction out of you, either positive or a negative one? With these questions in mind, you can write a long list of possible topics. But that is really not handleable when it comes to deciding on your topic. So you need to use that first list and narrow it down somehow. And that will be step number 2. If you look at this list, is there any topic that stands out to you and you can already see, you can visualize several episodes of a podcast on that specific topic? Or maybe there are some topics that you actually can find several subtopics to. Which of these topics can you talk about forever and ever? And maybe more important, are there any of these topics that you have a specific angle on? Maybe you have a unique point of view. That should help you narrow down this initial list. The next step is to think about your audience. And I know this might sound crazy because you haven't even started yet. You don't have an audience. But it is important that you try to identify who you think would listen to this podcast. And try to do this for each of the narrowed down topics you have. Let's say, for example, you have narrowed down the list to 3 topics. For each of these 3 topics, try to imagine who would the listener be? Who would your audience be? If we take a look at my podcast, The Swedish Fika, I imagine this audience to be people with some Swedish heritage, maybe, that are curious about Sweden and Swedes. I also can see people that are thinking about traveling to Sweden, have an interest in that podcast. And the third group I'm thinking about is people that have a general interest in different cultures and different ways of living. And why is it important to try to think about your audience? Well, this can be important to try and figure out what kind of a reach your podcast would have, or possible reach. If you have narrowed it down to 3 topics and you try to picture who the audience is for each one of them, maybe one stands out as being the one that would have more possible people listening to it. When you have an idea about who the audience might be, try to write down what possible questions, problems, or just general curiosity would the audience have about this topic. Are there any specific problems that they would want to solve? Or are there any specific questions that you can answer for them? Now you might have 1 or 2 topics only left from that initial list. But before you make your final decision, there is a 4th step that I would recommend that you do. And that is check out your competition. With this, I mean, use either you have a favorite podcast app that you usually listen to podcasts on, or use the web and search for other podcasts within this theme, within this topic. And do that for each of the topics you have left on your list now. First of all, how many podcasts are there out there about this topic? But go a little bit deeper. Look through when you find them. Look through how many episodes have they done? And what kind of episodes? What are they covering? And maybe more important, what are they missing? Especially if you have a topic where you have a very specific point of view. What is it that you can contribute within this topic that they don't? I also suggest that you listen to a couple of these podcasts because each niche or each topic has a very specific rhythm to them. A sport podcast sounds very different from a self development podcast. So take your time, listen to a couple of episodes, see if you can find something that they all have in common. It can be way of tempo, how they use music or not use music, and things like that. And get a feeling for the topic you are interested in. Even more, if they have, for example, a website connected to the podcast, take a look at their website. Are there any activity on the website? Are people interacting with them? Take a look at their social media, if they have social media, and see, are people active? Are people interested? And that can help you decide which of your ideas of topic will suit you best and will have a specific place within the podcast community. Hopefully, this can help you narrow down your ideas. And next time, I will start discussing different formats for podcasting. So if you want to follow along in this series, hit that subscribe button below and make sure you hit the bell so you get notified.